Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back. This is, of course, HD StarCraft, and I'm here to bring you guys another Heart of the Swarm broadcast. And this is, of course, from the latest patch of Heart of the Swarm beta patch balance number 11. And today we're going to actually be looking at some new players on the map because I once in a while like to do some fresh new faces. Both these players are high masters in Heart of the Swarm, so they are pretty talented. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, we're going to be looking at the red Zerg player, and his name is Clockwork. His opponent is going to be the blue Protoss player in the bottom left, and his name is SomeMoGains. So it is going to be a Protoss versus Zerg. And like I said before, once in a while, I do like to cast some fresh faces, but I'm told as well that this game is pretty damn good. And lately, I've been trying to really hand select the best replays possible because I want to bring you guys the most interesting games that I can in StarCraft 2. So if you guys know anybody that's playing Heart of the Storm at a high level, or you're watching any of the high-level streamers or anything like that, feel free to have them send the replays into me at HDreplays@gmail.com. Now, this is going to be a ZVP, like I said before. It looks like, oh, that probe sees the drone and says, come back here. And he's going to try to, I don't know why he's going back with the drone. Usually you just want to send the probe across the map to block the hatchery. And finally he says, okay, fine. And so he's going to go back out there. Maybe he thought that Clockwork was going to try to proxy hatch him or something, but even then, SomeMoGains has a gateway coming up first, so it doesn't really matter. And that's interesting that he actually went gateway first. The drone will see that. And in response, Clockwork says, okay, you gateway first, I'm going to get gas and pool. Wow, so we're going to see some a little bit of early play here from both these guys. Usually on a map this big, you expect to see quick expanding and a macro based style, but in fact it looks like we're going to see a little bit of early aggression from these two players, at least from what their build orders tell me right now. Obviously it's not solidified yet, but there is a pylon coming up at the natural hatchery location. That probe is going to come in and we'll see the gas in the pool coming up right now. And Clockwork now probably is going to mine up to 100 gas and then drop the 100 on the speed upgrade so he can get some early Zerglings and speed on the field. That drone is going to come out to the natural and say, well, now there's a pylon there, so he cannot become a hatchery, not until some Zerglings come out and take out that pylon. But the problem here is SomeMoGains went for gateway first, so he is going to have some zealots to actually back up this pylon. So it's like this older style pylon blocking that you don't see too often anymore these days, but you can pull it off if you go gateway first. You go block the natural and then you start to send out some zealots as well. That makes it very difficult for a Zerg to hold off unless they have enough Zerglings and a queen down there. And unfortunately for Clockwork, he only has Zerglings right now. He's trying to get a queen on the field. Looks like he's going to try to take out the probe here. The probe is under duress. Finally, the zealot comes in, but not before the probe drops a gateway as well. So now this drone coming down thinking it was going to become a hatchery, but no easy feat that is. And that zealot is actually doing a great job of microing back here. It is going to win against those 4 Zerglings. Beautiful job right there. And a second zealot now coming in as well. So Clockwork is not going to be able to get this hatchery. He's going to try to get that drone out of the way. Oh! And it is going to be able to stay alive. If he had lost another drone there, that would have been kind of... Oh, never mind. He's going to lose it. I was going to say, he's already lost a couple... I think he's already lost 1 drone already, so there's another drone down. And now he's forced to actually make a hatchery inside of his base. That's never a good sign. And I feel a little bad for Clockwork because he scouted this. He saw the... He saw the early gateway, and he had to realize, okay, there's an early gateway, I should get early Zergling speed and some Zerglings out, but even then, he was not able to win the fight at the natural, and because of that now, he's kind of blocked into his own main base, but luckily, finally, he has got his queen on the field, and the queen can push the zealots away, and along with Zergling speed, he should be able to win this fight and regain control of his natural. So that's why when you see a Protoss go gateway first as Zerg, you do need to get the early Zergling speed out, just in case, you'd rather be safe rather than sorry. And now SomeMoGains is going to say, alright, fine and fair enough with me. I'm going to go ahead and build up a cybernetics core, a gateway, and a pylon, and then seal that off and get a nexus behind that wall. So things are looking pretty good right now from the Protoss player, I must say. He's at 23 workers over 17. He's killed off more than his opponent. Actually, he only killed off 1 drone this game. Here comes a run by from Clockwork trying to get in, but that is Zergling tight, I believe. I don't think there might be an opening right here, actually. Not 100% sure, but I think there might be an opening. No, that is walled off with the gateway in the core. So that is a Zergling tight wall as the Overlord comes behind and is going to try to check out and see what's going on at the natural. back in the main, we do have 2 gases up, and SomeMoGains doesn't have a mothership core yet on the field, but these days it seems like more Protoss players are opting to get the mothership core a little bit earlier because that time warp field is just so good. In the early game, obviously before you needed the Oracle to get the time warp out, but now since it's on the mothership core, it really is a great early game ability just to stop an early attack or to be aggressive if you so choose to do so. And now Clockwork here, he does have the natural finally coming. He has a very quick layer on the way, 7 minutes and 40 seconds. The layer is about to finish at the 8-minute mark. And I wonder if he's planning something interesting here, as he's got some Zerglings taking out the Rock Tower at the potential next expansion, or perhaps he's just sealing this off to make it less likely that an attack can come through that corridor. Either way, it's a smart decision. He has an infestation pit coming right now, and looks like he's going to go just for pretty quick infestors, and he's going to try to check the front door once again, but that is pretty, like I said before, it's Zergling proof. So there's nothing that he can do about that. But the nice thing as Zerg is the reason why you want to run up here and you want to check is you want to check to see if your opponent has sentries, and you want to check to see if that Forge is researching, if that Cybernetics core is researching. Now, if there's a lack of sentries at the front door, that usually sets off alarm bells. And most Zerg players are thinking, all right, something fishy is going on because every Protoss gets sentries unless they're trying to cheese you. But there are a couple of sentries here, so that's fine and dandy right there. And there is a mothership core coming out right now from SomeMoGains. Gonna try to push out across the center of the map here and maybe just halt right there in the middle just so he can get an early warning beacon when the Zerg forces do come. Of course, in ZVP at this early stage, there's nothing that you're really concerned about for the mothership core's safety. Zerg doesn't, they don't bring their queens this far off creep, so that's totally fine. And on the production tab, we actually have Clockwork going for Swarm Hosts and Evolve Enduring Locust. So this is interesting because we don't see Swarm Hosts play too often in any matchup, really. It seems like they've kind of been forgotten here in Heart of the Swarm, but I guess in this situation, Clockwork is going to try to go for some Swarm Hosts, and he's actually getting Ventral Sacks. Wow. Now, is he going to go for like a Swarm Host drop? Because the reason why you get Ventral Sacks first is because it is a slower upgrade than Overlord Speed. Typically, you get the Overlord Speed when the Ventral Sacks is halfway done, and there we go. Ventral Sacks and Pneumatized Carapace is on the way. So I think Clockwork here is actually going to go for a Swarm Host drop. Almost kind of brings back memories of the good old Lurker drop that Zerg used to do. But the Lurker drop I felt like was a lot more effective because it had the ability to just rail a group of probes and just take them down so quickly. Swarm Hosts, they don't have the splash effect. They kind of just spawn units, but it can still be pretty irritating. If you can drop a couple of Swarm Hosts inside a Protoss base, I can see that being pretty effective, especially since the Mothership Core no longer has a detection ability. Detection now solely depends on observers or on the Oracle or photon cannons, obviously, and there is no observer on the field right now, so we'll see how effective this will be. But of course there is a robotics facility, so the SomeMoGains can make an observer whenever he feels like he needs to, and right now he is pushing with a pretty big army. This is Immortal Sentry Stalker, and this is usually a pretty scary push, but Clockwork has some crawlers and he's got some Swarm Hosts, so we'll see if this army actually wants to push in. Now the first couple of Locusts are now seen. SomeMoGains now realizes, okay, there are Swarm Hosts on the field, and usually you don't really want to fight Locusts because they are basically a free unit. You don't gain anything by killing them off, and so SomeMoGains has to pick the time to attack wisely here. And usually what you want to do is wait for the Swarm Host to come off cooldown and then push in. But the smart thing for Clockwork here is his Swarm Hosts are all staggered. They're not all spawning units at the same time, so they're all kind of spawning at different intervals here, which makes it hard for SomeMoGains to say, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and attack. And here comes the Overlord drop with 2 Swarm Hosts dropping off their cargo inside the main base. So there it is, and SomeMoGains has to make an observer now. It looks like he's got one coming on the robotics facility, and he's got to try to get some troops in position to try to protect this his gateways, as he is trying to pressure through the front door. But that is so many Swarm Hosts there. I don't really know if this is advisable. And it looks like he is going to try to push up here, but he's got to pull away, man. That's so many crawlers and Locusts ready to spawn at any point in time. Luckily for him, SomeMoGains was able to deflect the 2 Swarm Hosts inside of his main base. and kill them off because this frontal attack is not going to be successful. And so he is gonna be able to keep his main base defended, and now looks like he's gonna pull back a little bit as he realizes, all right, that's a serious army of locusts there, and if I try to push in, that's never gonna work out. And now Clockwork says, okay, defense has been successful. I'm not under duress anymore. I'm gonna go ahead and drop off a couple more swarm hosts into my opponent's base and see if I can do some more damage. Now, one thing to note here is whenever you see swarm hosts from Zerg, the best response you can possibly get is Colossus. Colossus have a long range, they can shut down swarm hosts very easily, and they can laser down groups of locusts very easily as well, so it is the right unit to get. Hallucinated Phoenix here is going to see the impending drop, so Clockwork for a second there pulling away because he thought they were real Phoenix, but they in fact are not. And now he's gonna try to go in regardless, but I don't know if that's a good idea. There are some Stalkers here, but luckily for him, the Stalkers do not have Blink. He is going to try to go in. No, he's going to pull away as he realizes, all right, there are Stalkers here. Gonna try to put the Swarm Host somewhere else, I suppose, and wouldn't be a bad spot to just drop him off right here and shut down this Nexus. Meanwhile, the Protoss army is actually engaging the Locusts, which, like I said before, I never feel like is a good idea unless you have a ton of Colossus. It just never works out. He is going to try to laser this hatchery down, the rocks down, so he can take out this hatchery though, and that should be successful, but he's got to be careful because he's going to corner himself in here as he drops 2 force fields. He kills off the hatchery. Meanwhile, the swarm hosts are getting dropped off here, and they are going to burrow and try to take out this Nexus, and this Protoss army is just going to walk out of there, but they have to fight through a lot of locusts to get home okay. And looks like he's going to take a little bit of damage. This is a Stalker and whatnot, but it's nothing too serious. And meanwhile, what about Clockwork's attack here with these burrowed menaces? Will SomeMoGains be able to protect this Nexus? Of course, the third Nexus is ever so crucial. Also, I've got to mention, you know what, the Zerg player is still only on 2 bases. It's kind of incredible that he's been able to play this game on 2 bases for this long. He desperately needs a third hatchery, which he's trying to get right now. The Swarm Host attack is going to be neutered now as most of the Protoss army is on the way back home. Looks like 2 Swarm Hosts were saved though inside that Overlord, and it might actually be able to get out of there okay, as it is, oh, it's going to stop. So if SomeMoGains wants to take out that Overlord, he certainly could, and he can get a free prize of 2 Swarm Hosts at the same time as well. Meanwhile, it looks like Clockwork slowly pushing his way out with the creep, with the queens, with the Swarm Hosts, and the babies that they spawn, but he's really far behind in bases. He's just now getting the 3rd hatchery up, which, you know, leads me to believe that he is in some trouble, but then again, Swarm Hosts are, I feel like, an incredible unit. If you get critical mass of Swarm Hosts, unless the Protoss just has a lot of Colossus, and even then if he has a lot of Colossus, Swarm Hosts, you know, they're a free unit. They spawn free units. They can be incredibly deadly against any race, so we'll see how this plays out. That Overlord is still pooping over here, but he needs to get off the throne and get out of harm's way because he could die here. And there we go, yeah, SomeMoGains realizes, okay, there's some creep over there, let's take out that Overlord, and Clockwork gonna lose his Swarm Host. Oh, he drops off the Swarm Host at the last second, burrows down, and I guess now he's gonna try to shut down this Nexus here with his small little drop force here, but unlikely that's gonna be successful because SomeMoGains can just pull back in, and the Protoss should be able to take out that Swarm Host pretty easily. So there it goes. Units lost right now showing that the Protoss has lost considerably more than the Zerg. Of course, a lot of that is because, like I said, the Swarm Host is a unit that spawns more free units. It's like trying to fight Broodlings and not ever killing the Broodlord. So that makes a lot of sense. And maybe that's why Clockwork, even though he's a little delayed in bases here, he's still pretty much right in this game. He is going to push in right now towards this Nexus. And will he be able to take out this Protoss army? It looks like the 2 Colossus in the back are doing their job at keeping the Locusts away, but a lot of Protoss forces are dropping needlessly here. And that's the problem when you're fighting off this many Swarm Hosts, that many burrowed units. If you don't have enough Colossus, then you can lose your, you can lose your army to just those continually spawning problemsome Locusts. And we do have some Zerglings now running down to the bottom towards this Nexus. Looks like they're going to try to take out some probes and whatnot, but there is a really good wall of Zealots and Photon Cannons here, and the Colossus coming back to back up as well. Going to be able to protect that. Meanwhile, a huge squad of Corruptors coming in. Clockwork going for Corruptor Swarm Host, and that's really smart because the Corruptor complement the Swarm Host so well. Obviously, they can't. These units cannot hit air, but these things can. The Corruptors can, and the greatest threat I feel like to the Locust is the Mass Colossus. So Corruptors can shut that down. Very smart composition here from Clockwork, which I don't think I've seen. Maybe Katz has tried to use it once or twice, but I don't see this composition working out too often. We'll see if Clockwork can make it happen or not. As he is trying to push in right now, he is going to be able to snipe one Colossus. No, he does not, as he decides to pull away. Hesitation at the last second right there. I almost feel like with this many Corruptors, he could just send them into this army. He might lose 4 or 5 or 6 Corruptors or something, but he will for sure kill off all 3 Colossus, and I think that's definitely a worthy trade, because that'll allow his Swarm Host to push into this Nexus. It looks like right now SomeMoGains is in a lot of trouble. He's actually trying to get a mothership right now. I don't know where. He's sending a Warp Prism down to the bottom right as well, but he's got to protect this Nexus. This Nexus is under duress right now. The Locusts are going to blow through and take it down oh so easily. One thing though that Clockwork doesn't have going is he doesn't have any upgrades for his Locust at all, which kind of surprised me. They're only 0-0 compared to a 2-2 army, so they're not as strong as you'd think they are, but they're still doing an incredible job. They're going to be able to take out this Nexus, rebuilding once again as well, unless, no, he decides not to. I don't know if that was the smartest decision. Now going to try to engage Force Fields, preventing the Locusts from getting up close, which of course they do have a limited range of 3. And it looks like SomeMoGains going to now position his army to the 12 o'clock. Near the 12 o'clock position. He's got a couple of Dark Templar now trying to slice down a hatchery. The Warp Prism has also gone into the main base, and some Zealots and DTs coming into the main as well. So now Clockwork has to decide, does he want to pull back and defend, or does he just want to go for an all-out base race? It looks like he just wants to send everything in. And of course there is a Mothership here, so he's got to send the Corruptors to finish that off. And of course now the Mothership, ladies and gentlemen, it does not have the ability to Vortex anymore. Not like it would have been able to right then and there, but it doesn't have Vortex anymore. It's just basically a Mothership core with the ability to cloak everything around. But regardless, the Protoss says, alright, I'm going to go ahead and go for the base race. He's sending his entire army to the right-hand side. He's already got 2 very successful drops here. He's cleared off most of the main base. He's taken out the hatchery at the top right-hand side. Some evacuating lifeboats trying to get out of harm's way to save whatever drones they can. And this is going to be it, guys. It's going to go down to, I guess, the last building standing here. And it's really smart here that obviously Clockwork got an Overlord out with a healthy amount of drones, because in this kind of situation you do need to evacuate your drones and make as many buildings as you possibly can. Same with the Protoss. SomeMoGains needs to try to get some probes out and remake some pylons or nexuses or something, as this Swarm Host army is just continuing to terrorize his remaining buildings. But so is he, you know. This is gonna really come down to the wire. Resources lost 14k to 13k. Natural for the Zerg has been obliterated. The main is completely gone. An Archon is all that remains inside the main base. And you know, we've got some random Zerg units here or there that are going to drop down to this army now. One important thing to note is, does SomeMoGains have an observer? He's trying to make an observer right now. On the units tab, he has no other form of detection. He theoretically cannot win this game if he doesn't have a way to see those swarm hosts. So it's crucial now that he gets that observer out of the robotics facility. It looks like he will get one out. And there it is. So one observer will make its way out, maybe a second one, depending on how quickly these Locusts can attack. The Protoss army now is on the way back. These are the remaining Zerg buildings. You'll note he made a hatchery, or a couple of hatcheries, so that his buildings were not revealed, which is very, very smart. And looks like most of the Protoss army has come back home here. And I guess it's going to try to save whatever remaining buildings they can. They dropped down a couple of force fields. The rock tower could be used as well as a defensive, I guess, artificial force field if this Protoss army decides to push in, or if this Swarm Host army tries to get out. And this is a nasty spot, I feel like, for Clockwork, because he's basically stuck back here. If he tries to get out, then no doubt SomeMoGains will just force field the Swarm Host, and he could even kill off the rock tower too to cut that army in half. So not not a good spot right now for Clockwork, who's really cornered in, although it looks like SomeMoGains gonna push up. I don't agree with that. He's gonna be fighting a ton of Locusts, but the Locusts are now on cooldown, of course, and that means the Swarm hosts are exposed. Does he have an Observer nearby? He doesn't have an Observer, and the Corruptors make their way back home. There's the Observer. Big fight right here. This could spell victory for one or the other player, and it looks like SomeMoGains decides, all right, I'm out of there. Don't even want to deal with that many Swarm hosts, and thankfully for Clockwork, the cooldown there just came back in the nick of time, allowing him to push that army away. Beautiful plays right there. Every last Colossus is gone. They're all dead, and now SomeMoGains actually has made a couple of oracles, which is I think that's a good idea, obviously, because he needs detection to combat the swarm host. He's lost all robotics facilities. He's trying to make a new robotics right now, so the only other form of mobile detection he can afford or he can make right now is the oracle. But the problem with the oracle is that it will easily die to the corruptor army, because the corruptor army can obviously just snipe it down. Same with the observer too, because there are overseers here, but it's a little bit more difficult for an observer to die if you can keep it away from the overseers, obviously. So I feel like SomeMoGains, the Protoss player, is in a bit of a nasty spot. He needs detection, but with that many corruptors on the field, how does he keep the detection alive? And here we go. Does he decide to attack right here and now? It looks like 1DT gonna find the remaining buildings here for the Zerg player. So time is running out for Clockwork. And these probes, the probes, distance mining, running right into a wall of locusts, and all the probes going down there. But SomeMoGains is gonna push in. He doesn't have detection though, so even if he kills off all the little locusts, he has no way of actually killing off the hosts, and that is problematic. Now it looks like some of these swarm hosts have their rally set back into the Protoss natural expansion. Gonna try to take out the remaining buildings here. Couple of oracles coming out of the remaining Stargate. And now I think Clockwork realizes, okay, it's a base race here, 99 supply to 90. He's got to try to kill off all the remaining buildings here. 15 workers to 19 workers. You'll see the units tab really showing all the remaining units on the field as this Dark Templar, oh my god, it is gonna get that Spine Crawler down, even though the Dark Templar was seen by the Spore. These last couple of buildings are going to drop. That is problematic here for Clockwork. Does he have any drones remaining on the map? It looks like he's got a few. Gonna try to evacuate them inside this Overlord and bring them back home to safety. But where is home? Does he even have a place to call home? Because these are the last remaining buildings. He's got to bring that Overlord back, I think, to his main army and try to, I guess, build a hatchery right here or something. And right now it looks like he is going to evacuate that over. Yeah, he's gonna bring that back over to his swarm host army and try to make a building before this hatchery and extractor dies. Oh my god, this is gonna be so close. A couple of observers are able to leak onto the bottom side, so the Protoss finally does have some observers on the field. The hatchery is about to drop here. Clockwork, I don't know if he has any other buildings. He does have an extractor inside the main base, and he's actually using changelings at the front door from his overseers, sort of like an artificial force field, if you will, to block this army, because if SomeMoGains tries to send this army in, they don't automatically attack changelings. You have to A-click every single one. So that is very, very smart, because obviously the army is gonna have a hard time running up through a bunch of changelings. Very intelligent play right here from Clockwork, who drops the drones off and makes an extractor in he basically makes an extractor behind his swarm host, and he's got two swarm hosts on the offense trying to eliminate all the remaining Protoss buildings. How crazy is this game? Wow, the extractor down in the bottom right is going to eventually drop here. Locust still chasing this army down, but even if this extractor drops, guess what? There is one last extractor, it seems. One last extractor remaining here for the Zerg player. But the Protoss has to eventually make his move. That's a problem. SomeMoGains has to attack at some point, because if he just sits back and waits, he's going to eventually lose all these buildings. So this is an incredible match right now. How does he send his army through a bunch of changelings? So I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can commit to something like that. I guess, oh, the Oracle does die. So the mobile detection has fallen, but there are observers on the field, so it's not a terrible loss. The Archon's actually coming back up behind this area, but immediately drop. And wow, this game is it's gonna be really close, to say the least. 84 supply to 72 right now. Clockwork trying to just, I guess, hold on to the Alamo here, because if he can hold on, he will theoretically win this game. All the changelings are gone, though, so now Clockwork, he needs to drop more changelings, and he's using Corruption now to scare SomeMoGains. It's a ploy to scare his opponent away, and it is going to be not successful. Actually, Clockwork is going to lose some of his Storm Hosts here as this army comes in, but the new Locust spawning just in time. But the Extractor is under attack, the Extractor is under attack, the Extractor is going to fall. And there it is, GG! Clockwork was defeated, and the Protoss player, SomeMoGains, is going to win the game. Oh, wow, that was really, that was a gutsy call right there, because he basically was sending his entire army in with obviously the realization that, hey, I don't have any way to beat these Storm Hosts, not a heads up, but if I can kill off this Extractor, I will win the game, and that's exactly what he did. Beautiful game right there, down to the wire, and a victory right there, I guess, for the Protoss player. So really cool one. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, check me out. I'm at YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter at HD StarCraft. And once again, if you guys know anybody playing Heart of the Storm, great games, feel free to have them send them in to me at HDreplays@gmail.com. For now, this is HD StarCraft. Happy weekend, and I am signing out.